The training facility hummed with the quiet efficiency of advanced technology. Rows of sleek combat simulators lined the massive hall, each one containing a different species from across the Galactic Federation. Today was assessment day at the premier military academy, where the finest warriors from 100 worlds came to prove their worth. Cadet Zephyr adjusted his combat suit nervously. As a Kellian, his naturally blue-tinted skin and forearms gave him advantages in multi-weapon combat that most species envied. He had trained for cycles to reach this moment, the final combat assessment that would determine his rank in the Federation's elite forces. The scanning booth stood like a monolith at the center of the training floor. Every cadet had to pass through it before their practical examination. The combat readiness scanner was a marvel of Federation technology, capable of analyzing a being's combat potential, threat level, and classification within seconds. It measured everything from reaction speed and strength to tactical thinking and battle instincts. Next candidate, called Instructor Vex, a towering Andromedian whose 8-foot frame commanded respect throughout the academy. His metallic voice carried across the hall as another cadet emerged from the scanner, looking pleased with their results. Zephyr watched as the holographic display showed the cadet's classification: Standard Combat Class, Level 3. Respectable, but not exceptional. Most cadets fell between Level 1 and Level 5, with Level 5 being reserved for the most elite warriors of their respective species. The line moved steadily. Zephyr observed his fellow cadets' results with growing anxiety. There was Crix, a Vorthan with natural armor plating, Level 4. Excellent. Then came Naya, whose celestial heritage granted her minor psychic abilities, Level 5. Outstanding. Even the generally peaceful Harmony folk were managing Level 2 classifications. As Zephyr stepped closer to the front of the line, he noticed an unusual commotion near the instructor's station. A small group of Academy staff had gathered around a particular datapad, speaking in hushed tones. Their expressions ranged from confusion to outright disbelief. "That cannot be correct," muttered DR. Elan, the Academy's chief medical officer. "Run the diagnostic again." "I have run it 17 times," replied Tech Specialist Bork, his 6 eyes blinking in rapid succession, a sure sign of stress among his people. "The scanner is functioning perfectly. All systems show green." Instructor Vex moved closer to the group, his imposing figure casting shadows over the smaller staff members. "What seems to be the issue?" "Sir," Dr. Elan began hesitantly, "we have detected an anomaly in today's scanning results. One reading is unprecedented, elaborate, a classification level that should not exist in our current database. The scanner registered a combat potential far beyond our normal parameters." Instructor Vex's expression remained unchanged, but those familiar with Andromedian body language would notice the slight tension in his shoulders. "Which cadet produced this reading?" The staff exchanged nervous glances. "That is the peculiar aspect, sir. The individual in question has not yet been processed today. The reading appeared during a routine system calibration this morning." "A calibration reading? That makes no sense. The scanner requires an active biological subject." "Precisely our concern, sir. We believe someone may have accessed the scanner outside of official testing hours." Zephyr finally reached the front of the line, but the conversation at the instructor's station captured his attention completely. He had never seen the Academy staff so flustered. What kind of reading could cause such a reaction? "Next candidate," Instructor Vex called, though his attention remained partially focused on the staff discussion. Zephyr stepped into the scanning booth, feeling the familiar tingle of the biosensors activating around him. The process was usually quick, a few seconds of bright light, some mild electromagnetic pulses to test reflexes, and then the results appeared on the external display. The scanner hummed to life, and Zephyr stood as still as possible. He could see other cadets gathering around the viewing area, eager to see his classification. As one of the more skilled fighters in their class, expectations were high. The humming grew louder, then suddenly stopped. The booth remained silent for several long moments. Zephyr looked around nervously, wondering if something had malfunctioned. Outside the booth, the display screen flickered with text. Scanning in progress. Please wait. More time passed. Other cadets began murmuring among themselves. Scans never took this long. Even the most complex species rarely required more than 30 seconds for a complete analysis. Is the scanner malfunctioning again? Asked Cadet Naya, her psychic abilities allowing her to sense the growing tension in the room. Instructor Vex approached the scanner controls, his brow furrowed. The technical readouts showed normal operation, but the scan had been running for nearly 2 minutes, an eternity in scanner time. Tech Specialist Bork Vex called. Status report. All systems nominal, sir. The scanner is performing an unusually thorough analysis, but I cannot determine the cause. Suddenly, the scanner emitted a sharp chime, and the booth doors slid open. Zephyr emerged, looking confused and slightly dizzy from the extended scanning process. All eyes turned to the display screen, waiting for his classification to appear. The screen remained blank for a moment, then slowly filled with text. Cadet Zephyr, Combat Classification. Level 4 respectable result, though not exceptional. Zephyr felt a mixture of relief and mild disappointment as scattered applause filled the hall. The other cadets began dispersing, their curiosity satisfied. But the academy staff remained clustered around their data pads, still discussing the mysterious morning reading. Whatever had caused their earlier confusion, it was not Zephyr's scan. The day continued normally for the next several hours. Cadets completed their practical examinations, showing off the skills they had honed over months of intensive training. Combat scenarios played out in holographic environments, testing everything from individual dueling techniques to large-scale tactical coordination. Zephyr performed well in his examinations, earning solid marks that would likely secure him a position in the Federation's regular forces. Not the elite units he had dreamed of joining, but an honorable career nonetheless. It was during the afternoon break that things began to get interesting. A new figure appeared in the training hall, someone Zephyr had never seen before. The being was roughly humanoid in shape, but clearly artificial. Its movements were too precise, too efficient to be organic. The polished metal surface of its body reflected the hall's lighting in patterns that seemed almost hypnotic. Attention, cadets and staff, the artificial being announced in a voice that carried clearly across the entire facility. I am Administrative Unit 7742. I have been dispatched from Federation Central Command to investigate a potential security breach at this facility. Murmurs rippled through the gathered crowd. Security breaches at the premier military academy were virtually unheard of. The facility's defenses were among the most advanced in known space. This morning, Administrative Unit 7742 continued. Your combat scanning system registered a classification level that falls outside established Federation parameters. Specifically, a reading classified as Founder level was detected during routine calibration. The murmurs grew louder. Zephyr found himself leaning forward, suddenly, very interested in what the administrative unit had to say. For those unfamiliar with the term, the unit continued. Founder-level classification is reserved for the theoretical maximum combat potential within Federation space. It is a classification that has never been observed in living subjects. The technology to detect such readings was included in scanner systems purely for the sake of scientific completeness. Instructor Vex stepped forward. Administrative Unit 7742, I can assure you that no unauthorized personnel have accessed our scanning facilities. All security logs have been reviewed and shown no irregularities. That may be true, Instructor, but the reading was definitely recorded. Our investigation has determined that the signature matches no known species in Federation databases. We are here to identify the source of this anomaly. Administrative Unit 7742 gestured toward a group of similarly artificial beings that had entered the hall behind it. These units will conduct enhanced scans of all Academy personnel. We must determine if this Founder-level individual is currently present at this facility. Zephyr felt a strange chill run down his spine. Something about this situation felt important in a way he could not quite understand. The mysterious reading, the unprecedented security response, the mention of classifications that should not exist, it all pointed to something far beyond a simple scanner malfunction. The enhanced scanning process began immediately. Unlike the routine combat scans, these new procedures were far more invasive. The artificial beings used handheld devices that seemed to peer into the very essence of each subject. They scanned not just for combat potential, but for genetic markers, energy signatures, and dozens of other criteria that Zephyr could not begin to understand. One by one, Academy personnel submitted to the enhanced scans. The results were disappointingly normal. Instructors, staff members, and cadets all registered within expected parameters for their respective species. No mysterious readings, no unexplained classifications, no founder-level signatures. As the afternoon wore on, Administrative Unit 7742 began to show what might have been frustration if artificial beings were capable of such emotions. The source of the anomalous reading must be identified. Central Command has classified this as a priority investigation. Perhaps, suggested Dr. Elan carefully, the reading was simply a malfunction. Scanner systems, no matter how advanced, are not infallible. Negative. The probability of a malfunction producing a coherent founder-level signature is approximately 0. Someone or something triggered that reading. We will continue scanning until we locate the source. The investigation continued into the evening. Every corner of the facility was searched, every piece of equipment examined. The artificial beings worked with mechanical precision, leaving nothing to chance. It was nearly midnight when one of the scanning units detected something unusual in a storage area adjacent to the main training hall. The area contained old equipment, decommissioned training devices, and various supplies. Not a place where anyone would expect to find evidence of founder-level beings. Anomalous energy residue detected, reported the scanning unit. Signature consistent with advanced human technology. Administrative Unit 7742 immediately focused its attention on the storage area. Human technology? That is impossible. Humans are not Federation members. They have had no contact with our systems. But the evidence was undeniable. Sophisticated scanning revealed traces of human DNA, along with energy signatures from technology that was distinctly human in origin. Someone from Earth had been in that storage area recently. This changes everything, Administrative Unit 7742 announced. If humans have somehow gained access to this facility, the implications are staggering. According to our intelligence reports, human military technology is primitive at best. They should pose no threat to Federation security. Zephyr found himself thinking about the storage area. He had been there just yesterday, retrieving some practice weapons for an informal training session. But he had seen nothing unusual, no signs of human presence or advanced technology. Unless a strange thought began to form in Zephyr's mind. The timing of the anomalous reading, his extended scan earlier that day, the discovery of human traces in an area he had recently visited. Could there be a connection? He dismissed the idea immediately. It was ridiculous. Humans were barely capable of space flight, according to Federation intelligence. The idea that one could infiltrate the premier military academy and register a founder-level combat classification was absurd. But as the night wore on and the investigation continued, Zephyr found it increasingly difficult to shake his growing suspicions. Something significant was happening at the academy, and somehow he felt connected to it in ways he could not yet understand. Administrative Unit 7742 concluded the evening with an ominous announcement. All Academy personnel will be subjected to additional enhanced scanning procedures tomorrow. We will also be implementing new security protocols and conducting a complete review of all recent Academy activities. This investigation will continue until we identify the source of the founder-level reading. As Zephyr made his way back to his quarters, He could not escape the feeling that tomorrow would bring revelations that would change everything he thought he knew about humans, the Federation, and perhaps even himself. The mystery deepened with each passing hour, and the answers seemed to lie somewhere in the intersection of human technology, Federation science, and classifications that should not exist. Whatever was happening at the premier military academy, it was far more significant than anyone had initially realized. The routine combat scan had revealed something extraordinary. Now it was only a matter of time before the truth emerged. The next morning brought chaos to the premier military academy. Word of the investigation had spread through unofficial channels, and rumors flew faster than Federation courier ships. Some cadets whispered about alien infiltrators. Others spoke of advanced AI systems gaining consciousness. The truth, as Administrative Unit 7742 was discovering, was far stranger than any of their theories. Zephyr woke early, unable to sleep after the previous day's events. His mind kept returning to the storage area, to the traces of human technology, to the impossible founder-level reading. As a Kellian, he possessed naturally enhanced pattern recognition abilities, and every instinct told him that these events were connected in ways the investigators had not yet discovered. The enhanced scanning procedures began immediately after morning meal period. Administrative Unit 7742 had brought additional equipment overnight, including devices that looked more like torture instruments than scientific tools. The artificial being's determination to solve this mystery had clearly intensified. Today we will conduct molecular-level analysis of all Academy personnel, Unit 7742 announced to the assembled crowd. These procedures will detect even trace evidence of human contact or contamination. Cadet Naya raised a tentative hand. Administrative Unit, what exactly makes humans so concerning? Our xenobiology classes taught us they were a primitive species with limited spacefaring capabilities. The artificial being's photoreceptors focused on her with mechanical precision. That information is classified. Suffice it to say that human military potential has been significantly underestimated by Federation intelligence services. This revelation sent new waves of whispers through the assembly. If the Federation had underestimated human capabilities, what did that mean for the rest of the galaxy? And how did human manage to infiltrate the most secure military training facility in known space? The enhanced scanning began with the instructors and senior staff. Each subject was subjected to nearly 15 minutes of intensive analysis, far beyond anything the Academy had ever experienced. The artificial beings worked in perfect coordination, their scanners revealing details about each individual that most had never known about themselves. Instructor Vex emerged from his scan, looking unusually troubled. The normally unflappable Andromedian seemed shaken by whatever the enhanced procedures had revealed. Is there a problem, Instructor? Administrative Unit 7742 inquired. The scan detected anomalous neurochemical patterns, Vex replied slowly. Stress indicators consistent with recent exposure to unknown stimuli. I cannot explain these readings. Interesting. We will note this for further investigation. As the morning progressed, similar anomalies appeared in roughly a quarter of the Academy's population. Stress patterns, unusual neurochemical signatures, even minor genetic variations that had not been present in previous medical examinations. Something was affecting the Academy's inhabitants at a fundamental biological level. Dr. Ilan was among those showing the most dramatic changes. Her scan revealed neurological adaptations typically associated with exposure to advanced combat stimuli. Her brain had literally rewired itself in response to some unknown stimulus, developing new neural pathways that enhanced reaction time and tactical thinking. Dr. Ilan, Unit 7742 said, its voice carrying a note that might have been concern, when did you last undergo a complete neurological examination? 2 standard months ago, during my regular medical review. The results showed perfectly normal baseline patterns for my species. According to these scans, Your neural architecture has undergone modifications that would typically require years of intensive combat training or genetic therapy. This level of change cannot occur naturally in such a brief time frame. The implications hung heavy in the air. If something at the Academy was causing rapid evolutionary adaptations in its inhabitants, the security threat was far greater than anyone had imagined. Zephyr's turn came in the early afternoon. As he approached the enhanced scanning station, he noticed that the artificial beings had made modifications to their equipment. Additional sensors, more sophisticated analysis protocols, and what looked like containment fields ready to activate at a moment's notice. Cadet Zephyr, Administrative Unit 7742 announced as he entered the scanning chamber, remain completely still during this procedure. Any movement could compromise the results. The scan began differently than the others Zephyr had observed. Instead of the typical 15-minute duration, his analysis stretched on for nearly an hour. The artificial beings consulted their equipment repeatedly, recalibrating sensors and running additional tests that seemed to grow more intensive with each iteration. Outside the chamber, Academy personnel had gathered to watch. Never had a single scan taken so long or generated so much apparent confusion among the investigators. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the scanning chamber doors opened. Zephyr emerged feeling disoriented and strangely energized, as if the prolonged exposure to the scanning fields had somehow enhanced his natural abilities. Administrative Unit 7742 stood motionless for several moments, processing the scan results. When it finally spoke, its voice carried a tone of profound bewilderment. "This is unprecedented. Cadet Zephyr, you will remain here for additional questioning. All other personnel are dismissed." The hall emptied quickly, leaving Zephyr alone with the artificial investigators. The silence stretched uncomfortably as the beings continued analyzing their data. Cadet, Unit 7742 finally said, "Your scan results present several impossibilities. We will need you to provide a detailed account of your activities over the past several days." Zephyr recounted his recent routine: training sessions, study periods, meals in the Academy cafeteria, and his visit to the storage area the previous day. Nothing seemed particularly significant, but the artificial beings listened with intense focus. "The storage area," Unit 7742 said when he finished. "Describe exactly what you did there." "I was retrieving practice weapons for an informal training session with some fellow cadets. Standard plasma rifles, nothing unusual. I was there for maybe 10 minutes. Did you encounter anyone else in the storage area? See anything out of place?" Zephyr thought carefully. The storage area had been dimly lit, filled with rows of equipment shelves and storage containers. He had focused on finding the specific weapons he needed, paying little attention to his surroundings. But now, thinking back with enhanced clarity that seemed to have resulted from the extended scanning, he recalled something odd. In the far corner of the storage area, partially hidden behind stacked containers, he had glimpsed what looked like a small living space. A sleeping bag, some food packages, and what might have been a portable computer terminal. At the time, he had assumed it was some kind of emergency shelter setup, possibly for security personnel. But thinking about it now, the equipment had looked wrong. Too compact, too advanced, and definitely not Federation standard. There was something, he said slowly, in the back corner, behind the storage containers. It looked like someone had set up a small camp. The artificial beings exchanged rapid data transmissions, their communication too fast for organic minds to follow. "Show us," Unit 7742 commanded. The group made their way to the storage area, Zephyr leading them to the spot where he had seen the makeshift camp. But when they arrived, the area was empty. No sleeping bag, no food packages, no computer terminal. Just dust and unused storage space. "Are you certain this is the correct location?" Unit 7742 asked. Zephyr examined the area carefully. The dust patterns were wrong. Someone had definitely been there recently, and they had cleaned up very thoroughly. But his enhanced pattern recognition abilities, sharpened by whatever the extended scan had done to him, picked up subtle details the artificial beings had missed. "Look at the floor," he said, pointing to specific spots. "You can see where something was placed. The dust patterns show rectangular impressions consistent with equipment placement." Unit 7742 directed its scanners toward the areas Zephyr indicated. Almost immediately, the devices began registering traces of human genetic material and energy signatures. "Extraordinary," the artificial beings said. "These traces are fresh, no more than 12 hours old. Someone was definitely here, and they departed very recently." But the discovery raised more questions than it answered. If a human had been living in the storage area, how had they evaded detection for so long? The Academy's security systems were sophisticated enough to detect a grain of sand out of place, let alone an unauthorized organic presence. "We need to expand our search," Unit 7742 decided. "If there's a human on this station, we will find them." Over the following hours, the artificial beings conducted the most thorough security sweep in the Academy's history. Every room, every corridor, every ventilation shaft was examined in microscopic detail. They found additional traces of human presence scattered throughout the facility, suggesting their quarry had been moving freely through areas that should have been impossible to access. The pattern that emerged was disturbing. The human traces were concentrated around areas with the highest concentrations of Academy personnel. The mess hall, training facilities, even the dormitories showed evidence of observation or interaction. Someone had been watching them, studying them, for what might have been weeks or months. This explains the neurological adaptations Dr. Elon realized as the investigators shared their findings. If we had been exposed to human technology or techniques, our minds might have been unconsciously adapting to new forms of combat or tactical thinking. It was a terrifying possibility. If humans possessed technology capable of enhancing other species simply through proximity, their actual military capabilities were far beyond anything the Federation had imagined. As evening approached, Administrative Unit 7742 gathered all Academy personnel for a critical announcement. "Our investigation has confirmed the presence of human infiltration at this facility," the artificial being announced. "We have detected extensive evidence of unauthorized observation and possible technological influence over Academy operations." The assembled crowd stirred uneasily. The idea that they had all been unknowingly studied by a potentially hostile alien presence was deeply unsettling. Furthermore, Unit 7742 continued, "Our analysis suggests that this infiltration has been ongoing for a significant period of time. The neurological adaptations observed in many of you indicate prolonged exposure to advanced human techniques or technology." Instructor Vex stepped forward. "What are your recommendations, Administrative Unit?" "All Academy personnel will be relocated to secure facilities for detailed debriefing and medical evaluation. This facility will be sealed and subjected to complete forensic analysis. We must understand how this infiltration was accomplished and what information may have been compromised." The announcement sent shockwaves through the assembly. The premier military academy, the most secure training facility in Federation space, was being shut down because of a single human infiltrator. But as the evening progressed and preparations began for the evacuation, strange things started happening. Equipment malfunctions began occurring throughout the facility. Communication systems experienced mysterious interruptions. Even the artificial being's own scanners began producing erratic readings. "Someone is actively interfering with our operations," Unit 7742 reported to its superiors via encrypted transmission. "The human infiltrator appears to be attempting to disrupt our investigation." The response from Federation Central Command was immediate and decisive. Additional security forces were dispatched to the Academy, along with specialized equipment designed to counter unknown technological threats. But as night fell over the facility, Zephyr found himself experiencing strange sensations. His enhanced pattern recognition abilities were picking up details that seemed impossible. He could sense movement in areas where sensors detected nothing. He could anticipate equipment malfunctions seconds before they occurred. Most disturbing of all, he seemed to be developing an intuitive understanding of the Academy's security systems that he had never possessed before. It was as if his mind had been upgraded, enhanced with knowledge and capabilities that should not exist. And based on the behavior of other affected Academy personnel, he was not the only one experiencing these changes. Whatever the human infiltrator had done to them, the effects were accelerating. The Academy was no longer dealing with a simple security breach. They were facing a transformation event that could reshape everything they thought they knew about combat, intelligence, and the nature of consciousness itself. The investigation had revealed far more than anyone had expected. And somewhere in the shadows of the Academy, the source of the founder-level reading remained hidden, watching and apparently continuing to influence events in ways that defied Federation understanding. The real mystery was just beginning to unfold, and the answers would challenge everything the galaxy believed about human capabilities and intentions. The additional security forces arrived at dawn, bringing with them equipment that Zephyr had never seen before. Massive containment fields, quantum-level scanning arrays, and what looked like weapons designed to disable entire star systems. Federation Central Command was clearly taking this threat very seriously. Captain Thrawn, a veteran Korthari military officer with cybernetic implants covering half his body, took command of the expanded investigation. His reputation preceded him. He was known throughout Federation space as someone who solved problems that others deemed impossible. Administrative Unit 7742. Captain Thrawn announced as he reviewed the investigation files. Your preliminary reports suggest capabilities that exceed our current understanding of human technology. I need you to be specific about what we're dealing with. Captain, the evidence indicates that the human infiltrator possesses technology capable of enhancing other species' cognitive and physical capabilities through mere proximity. Additionally, they have demonstrated the ability to remain undetected within a facility protected by our most advanced security systems. Captain Thrawn's expression darkened. His people, the Korthari, had evolved in environments where survival depended on accurately assessing threats. Every instinct he possessed was telling him that this situation was far more dangerous than it appeared. Show me the enhanced personnel, he commanded. Zephyr and 15 other Academy members who had shown significant neurological changes were brought before Captain Thrawn for evaluation. The captain's cybernetic implants whirred as they analyzed each individual, recording data that would be fed directly to Federation military intelligence. Remarkable, Captain Thrawn muttered as he reviewed the readings. Cadet Zephyr approached. Zephyr stepped forward, unsure what to expect. Captain Thrawn's cybernetic eye focused on him with mechanical precision, recording details that made him uncomfortable. Your combat potential has increased by approximately 300% since your baseline measurements 2 days ago, the captain said bluntly. That level of enhancement is theoretically impossible without genetic modification or years of intensive training. I feel different, Zephyr admitted. Stronger, faster, more aware of my surroundings. But I do not understand how or why. None of us do. That is what makes this situation so dangerous. Captain Thrawn turned to address the full group of enhanced personnel. Each of you represents a fundamental shift in our understanding of biological limitations. If humans can produce these effects in other species, their own capabilities must be orders of magnitude beyond our current estimates. Dr. Elon stepped forward hesitantly. Captain, there is something else you should know. The enhanced individuals have been demonstrating unusual cooperative abilities. When we work together, our effectiveness increases exponentially. To demonstrate, she gestured to the other affected Academy members. Without any apparent communication, they moved into a complex formation that maximized their individual strengths while covering each other's weaknesses. Their coordination was so perfect, it seemed almost telepathic. Fascinating, Captain Thrawn observed. You have developed some form of group consciousness or enhanced empathic ability. It is more than that. Instructor Vex interjected, his own enhancements having improved his analytical capabilities significantly. We can sense each other's intentions, anticipate needs, and coordinate responses without verbal communication. It is as if we have become part of a larger organism. The implications were staggering. If human technology could not only enhance individual capabilities, but also create group consciousness effects, a single human could potentially transform entire populations into something approaching a hive mind. Captain Thrawn's cybernetic implants worked overtime as he processed this information. We need to locate this infiltrator immediately. The threat level has just increased beyond acceptable parameters. The search intensified with the arrival of specialized Federation technology designed to counter stealth systems. Quantum entanglement scanners that could detect displaced matter, temporal analysis equipment that revealed disturbances in local time streams, and consciousness mapping devices that could track sentient thought patterns. But every attempt to locate the human infiltrator failed. It was as if they were dealing with someone who could exist outside the normal parameters of reality. It was Zephyr who finally made the breakthrough, though not in a way anyone expected. During an intensive scanning session designed to map the enhanced neural networks, Zephyr experienced what could only be described as a moment of expanded consciousness. For just a few seconds, his awareness extended far beyond his own mind, touching something vast and alien that was watching from nearby. "There," he said suddenly, pointing toward a section of wall that sensors showed as solid and unoccupied, behind a structural support matrix. "Someone is observing us." Captain Thrawn immediately directed all available scanners toward the indicated location. The results were impossible to interpret. The area showed as simultaneously empty and occupied, present and absent, normal and completely anomalous. Dimensional displacement technology, Dr. Elon realized with growing excitement and terror. The infiltrator is existing in a parallel dimensional space that overlaps with our own. It was technology that the Federation knew to be theoretically possible, but practically impossible to implement. The power requirements alone would need the output of a small star, and the computational complexity would overwhelm even their most advanced artificial intelligences. "If humans have mastered dimensional displacement," Captain Thrawn said grimly, "we're dealing with a species whose technological capabilities exceed our own by centuries or millennia." But even as the Federation forces prepared to attempt interdimensional contact, something unexpected happened. The walls Zephyr had indicated began to shimmer, and a section that had appeared solid became translucent. A figure stepped through the dimensional barrier as casually as walking through a doorway. The human was smaller than most Federation species, standing barely 1.8 meters tall. Their appearance was unremarkable by galactic standards: bilateral symmetry, single head, 2 arms, and legs. But there was something about their presence that commanded immediate attention. Every Enhanced Academy member felt a sudden surge of recognition, as if they were encountering someone they had always known. "Hello," the human said in perfect Federation standard, their voice carrying harmonics that suggested advanced vocal modification technology. "I apologize for the dramatic entrance, but your investigation was beginning to interfere with my research." Captain Thrawn's hand moved immediately toward his weapon, but found himself unable to complete the motion. Not because he was restrained, but because every combat instinct he possessed was telling him that attacking this being would be the last mistake he ever made. "You are the infiltrator," he stated, more to buy time than out of any need for confirmation. "I am Dr. Sarah Chun, xenobiological researcher for the Terran Science Directorate. I have been conducting long-term observational studies of Federation military training methodologies." The casual way she announced her purpose sent chills through everyone present. She spoke as if studying them was the most natural thing in the galaxy, as if their consent or awareness was irrelevant. "Your research," Administrative Unit 7742 said, Its voice carrying computational strain as it tried to process this development has caused unauthorized modifications to Federation personnel. This constitutes an act of biological warfare under interstellar law. Dr. Chin smiled, an expression that somehow managed to be both reassuring and terrifying. Actually, no. The modifications were entirely voluntary and beneficial. I simply provided opportunities for natural adaptation to occur. She gestured toward the Enhanced Academy members. Each of these individuals possessed latent capabilities that your Federation training methods could never unlock. I merely created conditions that allowed their true potential to manifest. Zephyr found himself stepping forward, driven by curiosity that overrode caution. How? What did you do to us? I exposed you to advanced training techniques, enhanced nutritional supplements, and optimized learning environments. Nothing harmful, nothing forced. Your minds and bodies adapted naturally to the improved conditions. Dr. Elan had been analyzing Dr. Chun with her enhanced abilities throughout the conversation. The neurological adaptations we experienced, they are not random. They follow specific patterns designed to optimize cognitive function and physical performance. Exactly. What you have experienced is merely the first stage of human standard military enhancement. With proper guidance, each of you could achieve capabilities that would classify you as super soldiers by current Federation standards. Captain Thrawn's cybernetic implants were working frantically to assess the threat level represented by Dr. Chun. But every analysis returned the same result: insufficient data to determine combat capability. It was as if she existed outside the parameters his systems were designed to measure. What is your species' actual technological level? He asked bluntly. Significantly higher than your intelligence services believe. We have been watching the Federation for some time, studying your various species and their potential for enhancement. Enhancement toward what end? Dr. Chin's expression became more serious. Captain, your Federation is not alone in this galaxy. There are threats approaching that make your current territorial disputes look like playground arguments. Humanity has been preparing for these threats, and we believe the Federation species have potential to help us face what is coming. She gestured toward the Enhanced Academy members again. These individuals represent just the beginning of what is possible. With human training methods and technology, your species could achieve capabilities that would allow you to survive what lies ahead. Administrative Unit 7742 processed this information with visible strain. You're suggesting that humanity possesses military capabilities sufficient to threaten unknown galactic-level adversaries. Not just suggesting, stating. The beings that destroyed the predecessor civilizations are returning, Captain. They will arrive within the next standard decade. When they do, the choice will be simple: adapt and survive, or remain static and face extinction. The revelation hit the assembled group like a physical blow. The predecessor civilizations were the stuff of legend, ancient species whose technology was so advanced that their ruins were still beyond Federation understanding. The idea that whatever had destroyed them was returning was almost too terrible to contemplate. How do you know this? Captain Thrawn demanded. Because humanity has already encountered their advanced scouts. We have been fighting a shadow war for the past 50 standard years, developing the capabilities necessary to resist them. The modifications your people have experienced are based on adaptations that proved necessary for human survival. Dr. Chun activated a device that projected a holographic star chart. The display showed vast sections of space beyond Federation borders, marked with symbols that indicated destroyed worlds, refugee populations, and active conflict zones. The enemy calls themselves the Harvesters. They view biological life as raw material for their technology, and they possess capabilities that make dimensional displacement look like simple mathematics. They have been systematically eliminating any species that might pose a future threat to their expansion. The star chart shifted, showing projected invasion routes that would bring the Harvesters into contact with Federation space within years, not decades. Why are you telling us this? Instructor Vex asked, his enhanced tactical thinking already beginning to grasp the enormous implications. Because humanity cannot face them alone. We need allies, partners who can adapt to the new realities of galactic warfare. The Federation species have potential, but only if they are willing to evolve beyond their current limitations. Zephyr felt a surge of understanding that seemed to come from his enhanced neural pathways. The combat classification, founder level. That is what humans register on your own scanning systems. Correct. Baseline human military capability is what your scanners classify as founder level. Our enhanced personnel operate at levels your current technology cannot even measure. Captain Thrawn's worldview was collapsing and rebuilding itself with each revelation. Everything the Federation believed about relative species capabilities, about human primitiveness, about their own place in the galactic hierarchy, was wrong. What do you want from us? He asked. Partnership. Allow us to establish proper training facilities within Federation space. Let us share our enhancement techniques with volunteers from your various species. In return, we will prepare your people for what is coming and offer our technology and support in the conflicts ahead. Dr. Chen's offer hung in the air like a challenge. Accept, and the Federation would need to acknowledge that they were not the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Decline, and they might face the Harvesters with technology and training that would prove woefully inadequate. But as Zephyr looked around at his fellow Enhanced Academy members, he realized that the choice had already been made. They had experienced what human enhancement could offer, and there was no going back to their previous limitations. The galaxy was about to change in ways no one had anticipated, and humanity was offering them a chance to evolve along with it. The only question was whether the Federation would be wise enough to accept the opportunity. The Federation Council Chamber had never hosted a session quite like this one. Representatives from 200 worlds gathered in emergency assembly, their usual political maneuvering set aside as they grappled with revelations that challenged everything they thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Chun stood at the center of the chamber, her human presence somehow commanding attention despite her unremarkable physical appearance. Beside her, a holographic display showed star charts, tactical analyses, and projections that painted a terrifying picture of the Federation's future. Zephyr and his fellow Enhanced Academy members had been brought as living evidence of human capabilities. After 3 weeks of intensive debriefing and evaluation, their transformations had stabilized into something that Federation scientists were still struggling to understand. They were no longer quite the same species they had been born as, but they were undeniably superior in every measurable way. Chancellor Vorthak, the Andromedian leader who presided over the Federation Council, spoke first. Dr. Chun, your claims are extraordinary. You ask us to believe that humanity possesses technology centuries beyond our own, that you have been secretly protecting us from a threat we knew nothing about, and that our species can be enhanced to levels we thought impossible. I ask you to believe nothing, Chancellor. I offer evidence and opportunity. The choice of what to do with both remains yours. Dr. Chin activated her holographic display, showing detailed recordings from humanity's encounters with Harvester Advanced Scouts. The images were disturbing beyond description. Beings that seemed to exist as living technology, creatures that could reshape matter at the molecular level, and weapons that operated on principles Federation science could not even identify. These encounters occurred in the Outer Rim territories, beyond your current sensor networks, she explained. Humanity has been containing Harvester expansion for 5 decades, preventing them from learning about the Federation's existence. Admiral Kess, the Vorthan military commander who oversaw Federation defense, leaned forward intently. Your military forces have been engaging enemies of this capability for 50 years. How many ships have you lost? How many worlds? 17 colony worlds evacuated, approximately 2 million military casualties, and the loss of 3 entire fleets before we developed effective countermeasures. The number sent shock waves through the assembly. The Federation's entire military consisted of fewer than 1 million active personnel. The scale of conflict humanity had been engaged and was almost incomprehensible. Show them the enhancement results, Captain Thrawn urged from his position in the military advisory section. His own experiences with the enhanced Academy personnel had convinced him the human offers of alliance were their best hope for survival. Dr. Chun gestured toward Zephyr and the other enhanced individuals. Demonstrate your current capabilities. What followed was a display that left the Federation representatives speechless. The enhanced Academy members performed feats of coordination, strength, and tactical thinking that would have been impossible for their base species. They moved like a single organism with multiple bodies, anticipating each other's actions and responding to threats that others could not even perceive. Most impressive was their problem-solving demonstration. Presented with a complex strategic scenario involving multiple hostile forces and limited resources, they developed and implemented a solution in minutes that Federation military computers had estimated would require hours of analysis. These individuals have retained their original personalities and species characteristics, Dr. Chun explained as the demonstration concluded. The enhancements do not alter who they are. They simply allow them to become the best possible version of themselves. Dr. Ilan, now serving as the primary researcher studying the enhancement effects, provided additional data. The neurological improvements appear to be permanent and beneficial. Enhanced individuals show no negative side effects and report significantly improved quality of life. Most importantly, the changes seem to accelerate over time as the subjects learn to utilize their new capabilities. Representative Quillen of the Celestial Collective raised a concern that many were thinking. Dr. Chun, how do we know that these enhancements do not come with hidden control mechanisms? How can we trust that humanity is not attempting to create loyal servants rather than true allies? It was a fair question, and one that Dr. Chun had expected. An excellent point, Representative. Allow me to address it directly. She activated a different section of her holographic display, showing detailed brain scans of the enhanced individuals. As you can see, the neurological modifications are entirely beneficial and autonomous. There are no control implants, no subliminal programming, no loyalty conditioning of any kind. Enhanced individuals retain complete free will and independent thought. Zephyr stepped forward to address the assembly directly. Honorable representatives, I can speak from personal experience. I am still myself, still Kellyan, still loyal to the Federation, still committed to the values I was raised with. But I'm also more than I was before. Stronger, smarter, more capable of protecting the things I care about. Instructor Vex nodded in agreement. The enhancements have made us better soldiers and better citizens. We think more clearly, respond more quickly, and work together more effectively. But we have not lost our individual identities or our commitment to Federation principles. Chancellor Vorthak processed this information carefully. Dr. Chun, what exactly are you proposing? What would this partnership look like in practical terms? We propose the establishment of joint training facilities where Federation volunteers can undergo enhancement processes. We would share our advanced technologies gradually, as your people demonstrate readiness to use them responsibly. In return, we ask for access to Federation resources and personnel to help prepare for the Harvester incursion. What kind of resources? Manufacturing capabilities, raw materials, and volunteers for enhanced military service. The Harvesters are not just a threat to humanity. They're a threat to all biological life in this galaxy. Fighting them will require cooperation on a scale never before attempted. Admiral Kess had been studying the tactical projections throughout the session. Dr. Chun, according to your data, the Harvester forces number in the billions. Even with enhancement, how can we hope to match such numbers? Quality over quantity, Admiral. A single enhanced human soldier has combat effectiveness equivalent to approximately 100 baseline organic warriors. Enhanced Federation personnel show similar improvement ratios for their respective species. Additionally, our technology allows us to force multiply our effectiveness through advanced coordination and support systems. She showed recordings of human military operations, small units of enhanced soldiers engaging and defeating harvester forces many times their size. The tactical precision and technological superiority displayed was stunning. But most importantly, Dr. Chun continued, we have learned that the harvesters have a critical weakness. They rely heavily on network consciousness and standardized tactics. Forces that can adapt quickly and operate outside predictable parameters have significant advantages. Enhanced Federation species, with their diverse biological capabilities and unique cultural perspectives, could provide exactly the kind of unpredictable tactical flexibility needed to exploit harvester weaknesses. The implications were becoming clear. This was not just about survival. It was about the Federation species becoming equal partners in a galactic-level conflict that would determine the future of biological life itself. Representative Quillen raised another concern. What about the Federation species who choose not to undergo enhancement? Will they become second-class citizens in this new alliance? Not at all. Enhancement is purely voluntary, and unenhanced individuals have crucial roles to play. Scientific research, cultural preservation, logistical support, and many other functions are equally important. This is not about creating a superior class of beings. It is about maximizing the potential of those willing and able to fight. Chancellor Vorthak called for a brief recess to allow the representatives to discuss among themselves. The debate that followed was intense but brief. The evidence was overwhelming, and the threat was too real to ignore. When the session resumed, the Chancellor's announcement was historic. The Federation Council accepts humanity's offer of alliance. We authorize the establishment of joint training facilities and the voluntary enhancement of Federation personnel. We commit our resources to the defense preparations you have outlined. Dr. Chin's expression showed what might have been relief. Chancellor, you have made a decision that may save not just the Federation, but biological life throughout this galaxy. The weeks that followed transformed the Federation beyond recognition. Volunteer enhancement programs began on every member world, with response rates far higher than anyone had expected. The promise of becoming more than they had ever imagined possible proved irresistible to many Federation citizens. Zephyr found himself appointed as a liaison between enhanced and unenhanced personnel, helping ease the transition as the Federation military was revolutionized. His experiences at the Academy had made him uniquely qualified to bridge the gap between the old and new paradigms. The joint training facilities revealed the true extent of human technological advancement. Gravity manipulation systems, matter compilers that could create any needed equipment from basic elements, and AI assistants that operated at levels of sophistication that the Federation had thought impossible. But most impressive was the revelation of human military doctrine, where Federation forces relied on overwhelming firepower and numerical superiority. Humans had developed tactics based on adaptability, precision, and the psychological manipulation of enemy forces. They fought like predators rather than soldiers, using intelligence and cunning to defeat enemies that outmatched them in raw capability. Dr. Elon's research teams made breakthrough discoveries almost daily as they studied human enhancement techniques. The modifications were far more sophisticated than initially realized, involving quantum-level modifications to cellular structure that allowed enhanced individuals to interface directly with advanced technology. It is as if they have found a way to bridge the gap between biological and artificial intelligence, she reported during one of the regular progress briefings. Enhanced individuals can process information at rates approaching computer speeds while retaining all the creativity and intuition of organic minds. The first joint military exercises between enhanced Federation forces and human personnel exceeded all expectations. The combined tactical flexibility of multiple enhanced species created capabilities that neither humans nor Federation forces could achieve alone. But as the months passed and the enhancement programs expanded, long-range sensors began detecting disturbing changes in the space beyond Federation borders. Entire star systems were going dark, and the pattern of disappearances suggested systematic harvesting operations. The harvesters were closer than Dr. Chun had initially indicated, and their advanced forces were already beginning to probe Federation space. "How much time do we have?" Admiral Kess asked during an emergency strategic planning session. Dr. Chin's response chilled everyone present. "Based on current patterns, major harvester forces will reach Federation core worlds within 18 standard months. We have that long to complete enhancement programs and integrate our forces." It seemed impossible. Transforming an entire civilization's military capability in less than 2 years was a task that would have been unthinkable just months earlier. But as Zephyr looked around at his fellow enhanced personnel, at the human advisors working alongside Federation scientists, and at the advanced technology that was revolutionizing everything they thought they knew about warfare, he felt something he had not expected: confidence. The Federation was no longer alone, no longer limited to their previous capabilities, no longer facing the future with inadequate preparation. They had allies who understood the threat, technology that could level the playing field, and personnel who were becoming something unprecedented in galactic history. The routine combat scan that had started everything had revealed more than just a founder-level human. It had revealed the beginning of a new era in galactic civilization, one where biological life could fight back against forces that had seemed unstoppable. The galaxy was about to witness what happened when humanity's adaptive capabilities combined with the Federation's diverse biological heritage and unified determination. The Harvesters had never faced an enemy like this before, and as the first enhanced Federation fleets began their patrols of the outer territories, carrying weapons and tactics that represented the best of both civilizations, the balance of galactic power began to shift in ways that would echo through history. The routine scan had changed everything. Now it was time to see what they could build with the opportunities that change had created.